What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So, Duke basketball for the men's side had a pretty nice game the other day, a close one. They ended up getting that victory against Notre Dame, 86-78. Cooper Flag went off in that game as well. He had 42 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists, most points ever for a Duke men's basketball freshman. The first 40-point performance since JJ Redick, my GOAT, and then an all-time ACC freshman scoring record also, which is pretty awesome for him. So yeah, big time victory this last Saturday against Notre Dame. Yeah, obviously one of my more hated rivalries with USC, so I'm never mad when my other team, Duke, ends up beating them, especially in a different sport. So yes, definitely very happy about that result. And the women's basketball team, were on the road in North Carolina, really not that far away from Duke, but it was a big time matchup. Like, I think North Carolina was like the 19th team, but offense was pretty bad for both teams back and forth throughout the whole game, but North Carolina got the best of them in that game, sadly. But I didn't know the women's team was going to be playing again pretty much on Sunday on the road too, and they got that victory against Virginia, 60-55. So I don't know if I was watching like a repeat of an older game, but I don't know. It felt like there was a back-to-back. Usually college sports don't play back-to-back, especially basketball. So I was kind of surprised at that, but that's how it went. But luckily they got another victory, so hopefully they don't fall too far from their 13th or 14th ranked team in the nation. And then Emily Skinner, who's a 5-star player coming in for Duke women's side, she scored her 2,000th career point in high school, which is pretty cool. I think I saw the stat when I saw the short that she's maybe the 4th or 5th player in the state of Utah to ever score 2,000 points, which is pretty awesome. I don't know if that's for both men and women, but at least she's number 4 on some lists. So very talented. I think she's still like the number 9th ranked player in the 2025 class. So she's definitely a very talented player. I can't wait to see her on the court next season. And Duke football did hire a new running backs coach. His name is Chris Foster. I don't know exactly what other school he came from, or if he's just a rehire or bump up from a lower level on the staff already. But either way, congrats to coach, and we'll see how he can help out the running backs next season. And then I spoke about this in my last video where the USC women's, where their ranking was in the tennis rankings. And then now Duke is ranked number 11. I think they even had a first place vote also, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, both of my schools are looking to be pretty dominant on the women's tennis side. So looking forward to seeing where they end up at the end of the season. And then the Duke women's soccer team did sign another player, or actually she got signed from the Kansas City Current, and Mary Long, she's from Duke. So yeah, congrats to her on making the roster out there in Kansas City. So we'll see how she ends up doing in her pro league. And yes, the reason why I wanted to make this separate news from like USC stuff, because I thought it would be too long of a video, so just separate USC and an Anaheim Ducks victory, and then this video you're going to get Duke, which just ended all that update, and now how the Chargers did in their playoff game in the wild card round against the Houston Texans on the road out there in Texas. And it was okay for the most part. They scored the first 6 points on 2 field goals, and you're kind of upset at that because you hoped at least one of those would have been at least a touchdown, if not both. But they had a couple chances here and there, and then Herbert threw a couple of big-time interceptions in the first half, and then all of a sudden Houston, who had not been scoring, scored like 10 points in the final 2 minutes, which sucked right before halftime. So you kind of felt the momentum going towards the home team, and that's kind of how it ended. The Texans got that victory and advanced on 32 and beating the Chargers, getting only 12. Herbert, his main thing, he says he let the team down, and it's pretty obvious to let the team down when you throw 4 interceptions total, and I think at least one of those was maybe returned for a touchdown, but I think it's the first time since Stan Humphries did it, I guess, who was the last Chargers quarterback, so of course Chargers have bad history still. And then, yes, Ladd McConkey was the only bright spot, especially in the receiver room, because he was literally the only guy that got more than a couple receptions and over like 16 yards, which is pretty sad for the rookie doing that. But he had a record, I think it's a rookie record, for 197 yards receiving, which is the most by a receiver in a playoff game, and I think it's the third most. Yes, he's behind Calvin Johnson and Demaryius Thomas for like the debut as a rookie and getting a certain amount of yards. So, yeah. Or actually, not a rookie, but their first time in the playoffs. Because I think those other guys may not have been rookies, but they still had a little bit more yardage than him. But, yeah, like I said, Herbert was getting sacked, and even when he wasn't, a lot of times he's just throwing the ball like he's a baseball player, like 100 miles per hour. And there's a couple times it looked like he could have threw it on a guy, and he's leading them either too much or it's going too fast. And yeah, there were a couple drops here and there by the tight ends and other receivers too on big time plays on third downs and all that other stuff. But everybody else that is not associated with the Chargers kind of likes to say that Herbert is one of those next up and coming guys. He's, a top 5 quarterback, top 10 quarterback. I don't even think he's like a top 15 if you're really being honest here. I never really liked him or saw the talent as much, being a USC fan and seeing him in Oregon. Yes, he did beat USC at least once, but I just never saw it. And then, yeah, he has surprised everybody, but then kind of gets figured out because I think this might be his second time in the playoffs, and first time he had that big lead against Jacksonville. They lost that game. This time he had a good enough defense where they were holding down the Texans, but for some reason no one else on the offense stepped up. Yes, they are missing a lot of players due to injury here and there on the offensive line and receivers, and the receivers just aren't good enough. And yeah, that's why I'm not really too upset, because I wasn't expecting much from this season since it is the first one with Jim Harbaugh and Jim Ortiz leading this team. I'm very happy at the results, at least getting into the playoffs in the wild card spot and, a chance to try to get the AFC West. So either way, I'm just happy that Denver lost to earlier on today against Buffalo, and it's going to be some pretty big time matchups in the playoffs. I think Kansas City gets Houston, of course, and then Buffalo gets Baltimore. They've kind of had that matchup in the playoffs the past couple of years, so that's going to be awesome next week. And then I believe the Eagles are facing whoever wins against the Rams and Minnesota, because the Commanders upset the Tampa Bay Bucks, and now they get to play against the Detroit Lions. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And speaking of that Rams-Vikings game, if the Vikings win tomorrow, the Chargers will pick 23rd in the draft. But if the Rams win, the Chargers will pick 22nd. So it's not like it's really going to change the outcome. You're going to move up a handful of spots, just one, move up one, or move back one in the draft. And now it's like 20-something. They're used to usually picking in the middle, like 14 to 17, where they're just barely missing the playoffs. At least they made the playoffs, and now they're picking in the low 20s. So we'll see if they end up trading up and making that into something, or if they end up trading back and trying to get some more younger talent in there, because a lot of those guys did step up. Cam Hart, Tarheeb Steele were great picks in the 4th round. Obviously, Joe Alt was great, but I think he's obviously been injured now. I mean, Latimer Conkey was awesome, the only guy that stepped up. So you have a lot of bright spots here and there of the class, and a lot of the guys they signed through the practice squad and off waivers and all that stuff during the season. So definitely very happy to see what this team can do in the near future. So hoping for the best. And quickly, on that Herbert draft, I did say for them to wait to draft Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round, which is what the Eagles did. So I have to go back and see. I think I wanted Isaiah Simmons, who hasn't really been that great of a 1st-round linebacker, but these people had Jalen Hurts, who had just advanced his team to the 2nd round once again, and has already been to a Super Bowl. But I'll leave it at that. And I'm just adding this in towards the end of the video because a lot more stuff happened with Duke since I last got on and made this video probably like a couple of days ago. So after that win over the weekend for Duke, their freshman Cooper Flagg was named the ACC Player of the Week and the Freshman of the Week. I think he's done that 3 times, which is probably a record already for a freshman. And he was also named the Naismith Trophy Player of the Week as well. So congrats to him. And then they did sadly hear some news about their senior player, Malik Brown. I think he's out right now with some type of knee injury. So he's just going to miss an extended period of time. It sucks when you hear that because you just never know when they're going to return, but hopefully at some point before March so he could get his legs and get going right before the tournament. And then they were able to play this Tuesday, as I'm recording this Tuesday night, against Miami, and they got a big-time victory there, 89-54. I think Kanupo, the other freshman, had like 20-plus points. Kaman Malawach, the other talented freshman, had his third straight double-double, and I think like 15 rebounds, which is like some type of record or maybe a career high for him too, so that was pretty great. So congrats to those guys. And then right now I want to finish off this video a lot of Duke stuff I've been holding, where it's like different teams or sports that I don't really follow, kind of like baseball, softball, maybe soccer, stuff like that, but I felt like I had some space here to do it real quick, so I'm going to run through those a little bit updates here right now. So when it comes to the softball team for Duke, according to Softball America, they are the number 8 ranked team in the nation, and according to Division 100 player rankings, I forget what that thing is called, but they had 4 players in there. Amina Vega was number 14, so that's a good number. Good luck for her. Then Cassidy Curd is at number 33. Dagwana Jennings is number 45, and Anna Gold is number 60 on the top 100 rankings. So they obviously have a lot of talent. They surprised a lot of people last year, and hoping they could make a nice run this year, even though they got cut short this last season. And then the women's soccer team, which had a great year, was a number 1 seed in one of the regions, and yes, sadly lost. I think it was to North Carolina right before the Final Four or something like that. But they right now, I think they have like the number 1 recruiting class or signing class in 2025, according to Top Draw Soccer. And they actually got a girl from pretty close to where I live in Corona, California, from Santiago High School. Her name is Lexley Coughlin. She's a defender. They also got Kaylee Kim, who's a forward from Belmont, California. They signed Daya King, a defender from Moreno Valley, California. They got Avery Oder, a forward from Calabasas, California. They also signed Cosette Coons Perdikis, I think that's how you say it, a midfielder from Chevy Chase, I think that's Maryland. And then Jocelyn Travers, a defender from Santa Cruz, California, and a goalkeeper, Imali Lopensky from Evanston, Illinois. So yeah, a lot of different positions that they're loading up on for this recruiting class. I know they have a lot of people returning for the women's side on their soccer team, which just went pretty far into the tournament. So hopefully a lot of these young players can end up helping them out during the season. And yeah, like half of their class is from California, and it sucks that they aren't going to USC, but USC's class was pretty good too, whether they were from California or not. So hopefully these girls are still good and can help contribute to this team, as I mentioned. And then when it comes to the men's baseball, I think according to one area, they're the number 9 ranked preseason team, which is nice. And during that, they also had a couple of preseason All-Americans for Kyle Johnson, who's a preseason All-American first team, and AJ Garcia, who's a preseason All-American third team. According to the top 100, they have a couple of sophomores. In Kyle Johnson is number 15, and AJ Garcia is number 2 on the top 100 of the sophomores. And then on the top 75 of the seniors, at number 40 is Wallace Clark, who looks like he might be a midfielder or something like that. And then according to Division I baseball, they are ranked the number 11 team in the preseason ranking. So yeah, like around there, the 10th team or so average in the nation comes to preseason. And once again, like the softball team, this one, the baseball team surprised a lot of people on the Duke side too, wishing the USC side was going to be a little bit better this year. They always seem to have some talent, but then end up faltering. I just wonder if that's because they need a new field and they weren't really playing at home for the home games, but hopefully they can get back on track just like these Duke Blue Devils have for both the softball and the baseball side. USC still needs a women's softball team. I will petition that until it actually happens. So thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Let's go Duke.